I've been asked to record my voice because I think I'm now one of the second oldest Aurovillian in Auroville. And my first impressions and all these things are to be given. Well, I came to Auroville because I had heard about Mother and Sri Aurobindo from my friends and family. And once when we were going from Bombay to Pune, we were in a taxi and there were some other people and they were talking about coming to Pondi. And I thought, well, this is a good idea. And at that time, my brother was stationed in Madras. He was working in Remington Rand. And I thought, well, from Pondi, I can go to see him also. So I asked them if I could join them. And they said, sure. And so there were 18 of us from Bombay who came to Pondi in 72, I think, yeah. No, I think 73. And it was Mother's birthday. And that week we came for it. And though Mother had stopped giving darshans, one of the girls who was who knew all the trustees and all that and had some influence, she managed to get to let us see the Mother. And when I saw her, I had gone with a very skeptical mind, and I thought she has to prove what she is, whether she is what they all make out to be her to be. Now, at this time, I think that was such arrogance on my part that I had to make the divine person prove to me, a nonentity, what she was capable of. Anyway, so I went into the room and I saw an old lady sitting there, and I thought to myself, she is so old. What is she capable of? Is she senile even, or is it normal? But when I came in front of her, I saw her face, a personification of compassion. And I didn't register her features, her hair, or whatever. This expression of hers, of compassion for me, just made me go blank, sort of a thing. And this friend of mine who had brought her, she said, Nergez, when you are there, you have to put your head beside her lap, where she is sitting, and then don't just get up and walk off, keep looking into her eyes. So when I had put my head there, and then after a few seconds, I looked up, and she looked into my eyes, and then she opened her eyes, and to me she looked like Kali. It was such a severe expression on her face. And I really got scared, and I thought I want to run away from her because it was such a change for me. But still I thought to myself, no, I must look into her eyes and see. And then I found that her eyes were like a big ocean, and And there was something at the corner, like a little periscope, that was moving to the center of the ocean. And when it came in the center, it just merged somehow or the other, and it became part of that ocean. And at that time, I felt there was nothing of me, there was no I or mine or anything. I became a part of that ocean myself also. And it was such a strong experience. Of course, it just must have been a few seconds. I do not know how long it was. But suddenly her expression changed and she became again that soft, compassionate old lady. And I realized that was the end of my darshan. And when I was walking out of the room, I heard a little voice in me saying, I need you, I need you. It was in English, though it is not my mother tongue. And it was like a record that kept on and on and on till I became aware of it. And then when I went down to my friends, I saw they had wet faces, and I said, oh, you are all crying. And they said, but Nergez, your face is also wet and you are also crying. I didn't even realize that. Anyway, after this, we were coming to Pondi, and we stayed there for that 10 days, I think. Oh, it must have been 72, because that's right, because it was the golden day, 29th of February, we stayed there till then. And we went on her birthday to Matra Mandir, where they were laying this foundation stone. And it was an early morning meditation there. And we went there, and we were given a little pebble to put it in that concreting machine, symbolic of partaking of building Matra Mandir. But it was a symbol, it was for me also the beginning, because when I joined Auroville, of course when I saw this thing, I said, oh, I must now stay here. And I didn't want to stay in Pondi as my family wanted me, because they said, oh, Nergez, you are in the wilderness, what can you do? And this was, I think I was in my late 50s when this happened. And they said, we'll be very much at ease if you were to stay in Pondi instead of in this place. I said, no, I want to partake of this building. Pondi is a city, anywhere I can go into a city, but I want to be a part of Auroville which is going to be built, and want to be in that thing. And so I came to live here in Auroville. And even though I have so often wanted to leave Auroville, to go somewhere else or to Pondi, but I cannot leave Auroville. And I think I came with the idea of, I came, I saw, and she conquered me. And even now, I'm still completely like a slave, and it hasn't changed at all. Whatever that is, I'm still mother's child or whatever. It's a grace for me if she considers me as a child. It's an honor or it's a grace for me to be knowing her and seeing her, which has changed my life completely. Anyway, when I came to live here, I came in 74, 75, 76 for short periods. And I was living in utility when Mali was there. And I found that place so very clean and so lovely that I felt like living there. And I did stay there for quite some few years. And I learned a lot from Mali by living in that place. He ruled us with an iron fist. We couldn't go out of the community. We had to work there. We had to stay there. The only thing we could do is to go to Matrimandi. That is all. But what I learned from him, it has helped me till now. As he would say, anybody can place a book on a table, but to put it in the right way, the right place, that is important. And now even when I see some people leaving their chappals all over the place and outside the door, I always try to put them in place and straighten them out and all this. It's just an automatic thing for me to do it, a little bit of order. Anyway, then I remember that in those days, I used to work in Matrimandi and I used to eat there also sometimes. And that place to go from utility to Matrimandi was a long walk. But it was a lovely walk for me coming from a city like Bombay. There were trees and flowers on the hedges and lovely fragrance of the flowers I could get instead of we could smell the gutters of Bombay if you walked there. And this was such a different thing. But in the daytime, whenever I went somewhere, I found the place was absolutely barren. And when you came upon a clump of trees, casuarina trees, it was like an oasis in a desert. And you knew that this was an Auroville settlement. And some years back, I went up to Matrimandi where the crane was, and I looked round the whole horizon, and there was nothing else but green. And it was such a contrast from what I had seen when I have seen the dust storms. I have seen those canyons, and in the rain times they were rushing with red water. And the sea even used to be a little bit near the canyon side, it turned red with the soil of Auroville. Anyway, Mali used to try to grow plants and all this thing. And from that, wilderness. He made a lovely community which people used to admire whenever they came there. These are my first impressions of Auroville. And now, in those days, we didn't have much money. I remember we used to get breakfast, 2 slices of bread and a cup of tea. And we were quite happy. And sometimes we got 1 cubic centimeter of peanut butter. And we thought, oh, this was the day we have peanut butter. It was such a rarity and such a welcome thing to eat. Now you can have bread, butter, jam, cheese, whatever you want you can have. But people are not happy. In those days, with nothing, we were wanting to share everything. We were happy to do the work. It was a thing that we thought it was a beautiful thing to do, is to work and share and just live simply. And now with all the money, we are like, Aurovillians have become like nouveau riche, flabby. And they have lost, I think, that old dedication, that simplicity. Now we have got cars and motorcycles. In those days when I walked, the villages were also so different. They were on the cycles and they would see me walking and they would say, "Ma, coming?" And I would hop on their cycle and they will take me wherever I wanted to go. Now they all have mopeds and motorcycles and whiz past you. And if you ever, because I've got no transport, I want sometimes a lift. When I stop them, they don't even stop. They have become also so different. Their whole attitude has changed. Well, I suppose this is what you call progress. In the wrong direction for me, at least. How many minutes have we?
Continue with the activities in our.
Oh. So from the word go, I started working in Matramandir.